Hey guys, Corey here. Welcome to Blue Talks, and I hope you enjoy this video.
Well, a quick shout out to Blue Talks and to the University of Toronto. Fabulous company, unbelievable venue, and it's a real honor to be speaking here today. I am Alex Morin, and today I'm going to talk to you about nothing. No, I'm totally serious. I'm going to talk to you about nothing. But that nothingness has the power to transform your life. I'm going to be bold, actually, today. I'm feeling a little feisty. And I'm going to say that nothingness has the power to transform humanity. But, well, there's always a but, isn't there? $10,000 vacations, there's always a but. And the but is, it requires openness. And I have found that people have a hard time being open, truly open. Because true openness requires an open heart. And an open heart is hard to come by because many of us have been burned, have been betrayed, have been pained. And we have closed our hearts off. We have shielded our hearts. And we've shielded them to protect ourselves from further harm. And most psychologists or psychiatrists will tell you that the mechanism we use to shield that heart is actually the ego or the identity, the subconscious. And we know that the ego and the identity, those are the program languages that govern the subconscious. And it is the subconscious that actually governs all of our movements throughout a day, everything we do. Fascinating, isn't it? And one of the reasons we close that heart off is because we get hit with trauma in our lives, right? Everyone's been hit with trauma in some shape, way, or form, haven't we? And when we are hit with trauma, we feel it. We feel the pain. We feel the hurt and the suffering. And as a result of that, we actually build that shield around our hearts. We build it to protect ourselves from the next time a similar occurrence happens. Whoop! Happens over here, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I'm shielded. Bing! It just moves right off of me. But that hurt is still there. It's still underneath the surface. And trauma is not the only way that we protect ourselves. Trauma is not the only reason that we put shields up. We are bombarded with information these days, aren't we? Social media, emails, newscasts, everything we see. And some of the information that comes our way is manipulative. Some of the information that makes its way to us is actually downright deceptive. And those manipulative messages that come our way at times cause us to be fearful. I'm fearful. I'm so fearful that I think I'm going to have to buy this to protect me, this service or this product. Or the message comes in and I'm fearful of that message and I'm going to align with this group or I'm going to think this way. And so again, we are building those shields around our hearts. But in order to truly understand my message today, it's going to require that open heart. And I have an exercise that will allow you to help you open your hearts right now. I would like you to think of a time in your life when you were alone in your car, alone in your house, all right? And you were singing at the top of your lungs, I'm singing in the rain, just sing. You were singing. It didn't matter, did it? Nobody was around, no fear of judgment whatsoever. Maybe it happened last week, maybe it happened last month. You remember the time, don't you? Maybe you did a dance too, right? I'm singing and no one was around and you're doing all these cool things and you're having fun because you're a kid. That is what I'm talking about. Channel that person right now, right this moment. Remember that kid who is inside of you? Do you remember? Remember that kid? You do. You do. It's here. Channel that kid and your heart is open right now, okay? So, this is really interesting. We are sitting here with open hearts at this moment. I love this concept because what happens when we close our hearts is that life takes us through a series of thresholds through which we have no awareness. That's a really big concept, you know. Let me repeat that. When we close our hearts, life moves us through a series of thresholds through which we have no awareness. And the best way to really get to the meat of that particular phrase is to share a metaphor that I learned some 34 years ago when I was about 16 years old. Story time. I was in London, England, and I was going down to the underground, the tube, right? And as a youngster, I hear this speaker system saying, "Mind the gap." I'm minding the gap? What the hell's the gap? And he was like, "Get down to the platform," and written on the platform is "Mind the gap." Oh, that's what they're talking about, mind the gap. Mind the gap means be careful of that little space between the solitary platform that doesn't move and the train that's on the other side of that gap. Mind that gap. Because if you step into it, you might twist your ankle, you might bust your knee. And if the gap was big enough, you fall in there and get run over by the train. That would really suck, right? Mind that gap. But we don't think about that gap. We walk right over that gap, into the train, and away we go. And I've got news for you about that gap. The very reason we move, the very reason you're here today, is because you crossed a series of thresholds. We do it hundreds of times, thousands of times a day. Thousands of times. There is no movement if you're not crossing a threshold. Let me share examples for you. When you woke up this morning, you crossed the threshold between sleeping and awakeness, right? You got out of bed and you got onto the floor. You passed the threshold, you created movement. When you left your house, you crossed the threshold between inside and outside. The minute you got outside, you started moving, right? You drove your car to work, you parked, you got into the office, crossed another threshold. You are crossing thresholds all the time, and yet we do not think of it. We never even notice it. Wild, isn't it? Well, I never noticed them either until I fell into a gap. What is a gap? Mind the gap? What is a gap? Well, if I were to think about that, I would say, let's find some synonyms. Gap means chasm. Gap means hole. Gap means space. Gap means trench. Okay, now, Alex, go further. What do those things mean? And if I think about the gap and the chasm and the trench and all these things, actually, a gap is nothing, right? A gap is nothing. And I never thought about the nothingness. I just went from one place to the next. That is, until I fell into a gap, a hole that was so deep and so painful and so challenging that nothing else in my world mattered. And that happened 5 years ago on the evening of the 23rd of July, 2020. We were sitting in the kitchen playing a game of cards, the family, and we got a text message. Brady's been jumped. Oh, shit. Brady was our 16-year-old son at the time. And we then found out Brady's being transported to the hospital in an ambulance to Sunnybrook Trauma Center. Not the hospital where our 3 kids were born, but to the trauma center. Whoa, shit. This has got to be bad. And then we found out while he was jumped, he was stabbed. Oh, fuck. Okay. So you get in the car, as any parent would do, and you drive as fast as you can to the hospital, don't you? Right? That's what you would do. And I got my hands on the wheel, and I'm driving down the 404, and I'm just about to turn onto the 401, and I got tears coming down my eyes, and I'm in pain and suffering. And as I'm making that turn off to the 401, I look up through the right-hand corner of my windshield, and what do I see? I see the moon. I see a crescent moon. And it's the most gorgeous moon I've ever seen. It's the most gorgeous moon I've ever seen. I'm looking at it and I'm like, holy shit, that moon is so beautiful. And I look at the road and I'm like, I hope my son lives. That moon is so beautiful. I hope my son lives. That moon is so beautiful. I hope our son lives. And it was not lost on me in that moment that moon was so gorgeous and so beautiful. And I was drenched in appreciation and gratitude. Appreciation and gratitude at a time when I'm going to see if my son's alive or dead. Imagine that. And so I'm feeling gratitude. I'm feeling love. It's the moon. It's part of the earth. It rotates around. It helps us survive. It helps the animals, the tides, the humans, all of us. I felt connected to it. I felt love. I felt like there was no separation between me and that moon. I really did. At the same time, I feel this terror. Is my son alive? Is he okay? I'm in pain. I'm suffering. These two things are coexisting. It was a momentous occasion. I never forgot about it. And I got to the hospital. It was the height of COVID. Nobody was allowed into the hospitals, but I forced my way in there. And I happened to be the only person in a massive atrium that was not lit at Sunnybrook Hospital. The only person. And I sat there for hours waiting for the surgery to happen. Please, please let my son live. Please, the doctors are unbelievable. He's healing. He's healthy. Please let him survive. Hours. I sat there for hours in a darkly lit atrium. The doors opened at some point and light came flooding into this area. And I look up and some distinguished looking gentleman with gray hair comes in and he says, "Mr. Morin?" "Yes." "I'm Dr. So-and-so. I operated on Brady. Your son is strong and he's going to make a full recovery." Holy smokes. That moment, if you know, then you know. Yeah, do you have kids? You got a loved one? You got parents? You love them with all of your heart, every single piece of your heart. You know what that moment feels like, don't you? Right? You know what that moment feels like. I'm sitting there with nothing but gratitude. Nothing. I feel love. I feel gratitude. I feel appreciation. I'm just so grateful for the operating team. And at the same time, I feel terror. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I wonder if my son will heal physically. I wonder how he'll heal mentally. I wonder what an ordeal that was like. Where is he? I need to see him. And so I'm feeling these two things at once. And it occurs to me that they're the same. That the terror I feel is only able to be felt because it's connected to such profound love. And I'm so appreciative and I'm so grateful. And I love my son so much and I'm in terror. The two damn things are the same. They're just the opposite side of the same coin. That's it. What a revelation, right? What an absolute revelation. And I'll tell you something. In that moment, right after the doctor left, just like that, I don't know who said it to me. I don't know what happened. But I hear this voice and it says, "You're quitting tomorrow." I don't know who said it, but I knew exactly what it meant. You're quitting your job tomorrow, pal. Now, let me tell you about this job. For 19 years, I was in an advertising company. I started out as the most junior employee, entry level. I worked my way up through every level of management, into executive management, into a partnership, into ownership of a $250 million corporation. I did that. My ego did that. That entire life of mine, 19 years, was the result of an ego who craved success in the form of the accumulation of wealth. The next vacation, the next car, the next house, the next this, the next that, and it just kept on going. And in addition to that, that ego was driving me every day to the same place. And it was saying, you want the adulation, you want the recognition. That's what I wanted. That's what was driving me every single day. So I quit. Because in that moment of gratitude, when your heart is wide open, the ego is gone. It's not there. Right? Let me ask you something. In that moment, you put yourself in my shoes. Do you care about how many emails are in your inbox? Do you care? No. Do you care about the next business trip you're supposed to take? Do you care about that? No. Not even a thought. Not even a thought. And so without the ego, the very thing, the very mechanism that drives my movement, without that ego, I was able to say, I'm letting it go. And my life began to improve by orders of magnitude. Almost right away, I decided I would start heart-based businesses. I started a business called Almost Enlightened, a consultancy and a podcast. I started working Writers Co. with my partner, Marcy Barbaro, who's somewhere here. And my life was just beautiful, doing what I wanted to do, living in alignment with my heart, an unbelievable moment for me. And I'll tell you something about one of those businesses, Almost Enlightened. I created a podcast. And if ever you want to see my heart wide open, from 2020, when that incident occurred with our son Brady, to 2022, I recorded 55 episodes. 55 episodes, and I just let my imagination run. I let my heart just run. I tackled science. I tackled government. I tackled love. I tackled the Hopi tribe in New Mexico and Arizona. Whatever I put my mind and my heart to, I just decided that's where I'm going. And then, 2 years into that, 55 episodes later, I felt a shield around my heart. But I thought I got rid of the ego. I thought I got rid of it. And I realized that I can keep on creating episodes. But like I say when I'm coaching writers, I need you to examine your subject matter from every perspective. That's what's going to make your book unbelievable. When you've got other characters investigating a subject, when you are looking at that subject through the innocent voice and the experienced voice, you are beginning to look at subject matter through multiple perspectives. And the perspective that I was missing, that I was shielding, was the truth perspective, the relationship perspective. You see, I was hiding something. I had been unfaithful to my wife for many of those years in that corporation. Wasn't serving me, wasn't serving my wife, and I was not living in truth anymore. And so, once again, I found myself in a gap, free of ego. And I said, I will tell her. I didn't premeditate it. I didn't think about what day it would be. In a moment that was so glorious, with hearts wide open, I shared the news with my wife, with no attachment to the outcome whatsoever. I wanted an outcome, but there was a possibility that my wife said, fuck off. You've been unfaithful, see you later. But she didn't do that. My Sarah, my love, my heart. She didn't do that. She said, I want to work with you. And that didn't mean she would be with me the next day, or the next week, or the next month. I didn't take that for certain, because there's another thing we talk about in book writing, and it's show, don't tell. I followed my own advice. I'm going to show her. I am not going to tell her. I am going to show her. And 3 glorious years later, 5 years after our son was stabbed, I will tell you with an open heart that my health is better today. My mental health is better today. Physical health is better today. Relationship with my wife is better today. Relationship with my kids are better today. Relationship with my community is better. Relationship with anyone I come across who I look in the eye, it is better because I'm living in truth. Yep, I am living in truth. That's an unbelievable feeling. So here's my hint for you. Here's my task for you if you want one. Examine the nothingness. We pass through them all of the time. Examine it. And you will know when you're at a threshold, when you feel something in your heart. This feels a certain way. Stop. Just slow down. Stop. And before you take that step onto the train that's going to take you wherever it has always taken you, you stop. And you go, nope, that train. That's where I'm going. That's where my heart tells me to go. And every time you follow your heart, I will guarantee it will take you where you're supposed to go. It may be challenging. These have been the most challenging 5 years of my life, but they have been the greatest years of my life, without a doubt. Without a doubt. Sarah's in the audience right now. My young son Noah's there. You are my heart. You are the reason I am here today. I thank you. I thank you. And I would like to say to all of you, thank you for being here with me here on this journey. I had one more revelation. I had one more voice hit me 2 nights ago. I couldn't believe it. There I was working away on this speech, ironing out the kinks. And I heard this voice. And this voice said, "You're starting the Almost Enlightened podcast again." I am? Really? For 2 years, 20 to 22, 55 episodes, solo episodes, written, recorded, studied, research done. And then I stopped. And a year later, after I had shared the news with Sarah, I tried to start again. I tried to explain why I was starting again, and I couldn't do it. 1 episode, 1 year ago, I have been told I'm starting the Almost Enlightened podcast again. And if you would like to come along with me on the journey, if you would like to see how someone navigates life with an open heart and what happens, let's keep one another accountable. You can write me. You can talk to me about your own journey. You can tell me about your own open heart. I want to thank you so much for giving me the time and opening your hearts with me today. And I want to remind you of one thing. Mind the gap. Thank you.